couple of weeks ago, as I mentioned, we did have Christo Lamprick, the giant from Georgia Tech. Well, this week we have the guy who took down the giant a couple of days ago at Shady Oaks, Hogan Collegiate, Vanderbilt senior Cole Sherwood. Cole, thanks for coming on. What's it like getting on that first tee or whatever the playoff hole was, 18 tee, and staring down a guy who's 6'9", 6'10", 200 and however many pounds he is? Is it intimidating? And obviously it wasn't too intimidating because you were able to get the job done and get that PGA Tour invite.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Brentley. I think once you get to know Christo, it takes away from the scariness of a guy at 6'8", just an absolute unit. He's a joker. He's a really funny guy, great personality. And so when he's one of your friends, it makes it a lot easier competing against them.
So he's like a big teddy bear. Is that what you're saying?
100% with the short game of a magician.
Now, your third college win, but first since you won the Mason Rudolph Vanderbilt's home event back in spring of 2022, has it felt like that long? And how did you get the job done this week?
Yeah, it doesn't really feel that long. With our college golf schedule, time flies by so fast. We're always traveling, always practicing, always working out. And so it really doesn't feel like, over a year and a half ago since the last victory. But it was a great week. The individual part I really didn't know about until I finished on 18. I knew we were one behind with about 3 holes to play. Matthew Riedel makes a huge birdie on 18, which is a tough hole. And so I hit a good iron shot and unfortunately got a little bit of a read off Luke Potter and made the putt. And I walked off. I asked if we won. They said, yeah, we got North Carolina by a shot. And, oh, yeah, you're individually tied for the lead, which I thought was crazy. I knew it was playing tough the last day, but I really didn't think 7 under had a chance to win.
Is that something that you and your teammates kind of talk about? Because I know we do just as people who cover the sport, but when you're in a tournament playing against a North Carolina, who a lot of people consider the both of your teams, along with Vanderbilt, along with Arizona State, even as who's the best in college golf right now? Is that something you guys maybe talk about, and maybe it means a little bit extra when you find yourself down the stretch, kind of nose to nose with a team like North Carolina?
For sure, yeah. The Ben Hogan Collegiate had, I think, 14 of the top 20 teams, and a lot of great teams, like you said, North Carolina, Arizona State, Florida State. These are all teams we're going to see at nationals. And, every opportunity you have to make a statement, you want to take the opportunity to show them who we are, the kind of game we play. And it's not every week we get to compete against the best teams in the country.
Yeah. So your wins in college, I mentioned the Mason Rudolph. You obviously beat a stacked field this week. You won Cabo, which is one of the best tournaments year in and year out in terms of strength of field. But why was this one in particular maybe especially important? Just considering maybe the spring that you had last year and the summer of not getting picked for the Walker Cup. Did you feel like this win this week was maybe more meaningful from a confidence or a momentum standpoint than any of the past ones?
For sure, yeah. There's been a lot that's been put in to different parts of my game since sophomore year. I would say my first 2 years, I relied on my ball striking a lot. And I knew in order to play on the PGA Tour, my short game has to get a lot better. And so I made that a focus over last year, and my ball striking kind of slipped. I think just spending a lot of time on the short game and kind of forgetting that my ball striking is my strength. And so it was nice to see that my ball striking came back. And then all the time I put in my short game, I got a lot of help from Josh Gregory and then my swing coach, Buck Mares. They've kind of kept me online. And so it was great to see that the two, the swing and the short game kind of clicked. And so a lot of that work and changes are kind of starting to show off in the scores.
Yeah, we've seen some of the best players in the world, when that kind of stuff happens. Jordan Spieth comes to mind. When you start working on maybe a deficiency in your game, some of that time spent on maybe your craft and what you're really good at slips a little bit. But is there something that you unlocked to get the ball striking back? I mean, what was the key, if you could maybe sum it up?
I think a lot of it is just confidence. I'm not really a technical guy. And I didn't hit it great last spring. I hit it better this summer. And really last week at the SEC preview in Birmingham, I played great the last 2 rounds. And I think I just more of a belief in myself that the only thing holding me back is myself, not my short game, not my swing. And if I can believe that I can compete against these guys, then I know I could. It's just not always easy to get your mind to that position where you believe in yourself after having a few bad tournaments.
So the PGA Tour exemption that you get for winning this event is into the Charles Schwab Challenge next year at Colonial. The dates overlap with the NCAA championship. So I'm going to put this out there. Colonial, the tournament organizers, they need to have a 2025 invite ready for you. But assuming that that's the case, assuming that you do get to tee it up on the PGA Tour, what are you looking forward to most about getting out there with the big boys?
Oh, it'd be so exciting. For me, especially growing up in Texas, the Charles Schwab was a tournament that I always made an effort to watch. And then it's always obviously been a dream to play on the PGA Tour and just play alongside those top guys and get to learn from what they do. And next year is obviously beginning of being a professional, and I have so much to learn. And so being able to jump in right away with the big dogs on the tour would be a great opportunity to learn from what they do and kind of how they have such long-standing success.
So a lot of the best players in the world that we watched last year or last week at the Ryder Cup, a lot of them played in the Walker Cup, and a lot of them can relate to the type of pressure that you guys as top amateurs are under to make this team. Can you just describe what it was like the last 12 months and from playing in the practice session to, trying to make sure that you're building your resume to make that team? What's it like going through that? And can you compare that pressure to anything else that you've faced before?
Yeah, I think it's difficult because it is such a prolonged experience where you play that practice session in December, you get some shirts with Walker Cup on it, and you really feel like you're part of the team without really earning your spot. And
did you wear those shirts at all? Like, or did you want to hold on to them until you made the team?
I want to hold on to them. Practice session, but I feel like you need to earn things like that, and I hadn't earned it yet. And so, you have the whole spring and you're focused on team golf, but it's always lingering. When you're practicing, it's lingering. And to a certain extent, it was just almost relieving. Even though I wasn't selected, it kind of frees you up. I worked so hard to make it, and I really wanted to. But at the end of the day, it's out of my control. And so it's nice to kind of move on. And it definitely is a weight off my shoulders. And I really, really want to be a part of that team. And I'm really proud of how they competed overseas. And it's an amazing team, but you have to earn the right to be on that team. And I didn't do what it took to be on the team. So it's simple, it's the truth, and it's difficult to take. But, looking back, it's going to make me a better player.
So your teammate Gordon Sargent went 4-0 at St. Andrews. You look at your guys' roster at Vanderbilt with you and William Mall and Matthew Riedel, all of them back. Gordon Sargent at the top, Wells Williams, Jackson Van Paris has kind of, I don't want to say revived his career because I don't know if he necessarily went anywhere, but playing some of the best golf that he's played in college, no doubt. I mean, you guys are loaded top to bottom. But if you go back to late May at Greyhawk, you guys don't make the top 8. You don't even get a chance to compete for an NCAA title via match play. What's the balance like in terms of using that as motivation? Because, you only have to go back to 2 years ago to look at what Texas did from missing the 54-hole cut, and then they win it all the very next year. But what's the balance of using that as fuel, but then also kind of wiping the slate and not really dwelling on, past failure?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely helps us to know that only one team walks away happy. For the team that we had, we thought we had the talent to win, and it was a matter of performing, and we simply didn't perform. I don't think we walked away any more frustrated than the year before when we made the semis. And so one team walks away at the top, and we didn't do what it took to win. We weren't doing the little things right. We were getting a little bit greedy. Leading up to the tournament, we could have tightened our routines a little bit, been a little bit more focused on playing at elevation, controlling our ball flights. And, even if we didn't make match play, it's possible we would have won. But, there's a lot of things leading up to it. We need to do better. And like you said, you learn from what you did, but you also wipe the slate clean. Like, we know that we're a better team than how we performed last year. And this year's a new opportunity to make a statement before 4 of us graduate.
So we've seen what Coach Limbaugh does in moments of celebration. He's very high energy, but what's he like in the moments after, kind of the disappointment at Greyhawk? Like what does he say to you guys on the way back to school, or leaving the course that evening? I mean, is he quiet? Is he motivating? Kind of give us a peel or a look behind the curtain.
Yeah, I think we're all, I guess, kind of surprised leaving Greyhawk. The way Coach is he's going to blame himself. It's all his fault. He failed us as a coach, and we all know that's not the case. He did everything he could to give us a chance to be successful, and he's very good at keeping us right in the middle, where we're never too high or too low. He humbles us when we're up. He picks us up when we're down, and so we're not getting, any sort of tough love from him after that. It's just always, hey guys, didn't do our job, and we all expect to do better, and we didn't. But it's just sometimes doesn't go our way, and we have another opportunity this year to make a statement and get back what we left out there last year.
So you said tough love sometimes from Coach Limbaugh. What does he say to you this Tuesday night after you win a big event at Colonial?
Coach is really big on how we finish and body language and effort, things you can control. You can't control if your ball lips out from 40 feet for us to lose or hits a tree and goes in the hazard, but you can't control how you react to things that happen like that. And he loves that we finished last week. We're all excited, obviously, going head-to-head against North Carolina and coming down the stretch. They were in the house. We knew what we had to get to win. And, he gets pumped up when we come away with victories like that. Just not only that they're a great team, but the fact that we were behind and we got the job done under pressure. And so he was excited. We're all excited, but we were back in the gym at 6 a.m. this morning, and everything resets.
I just imagine Limbaugh showing up doing some. Does he work out with you guys? Is he like doing box jumps and lifting metal into the air? Or?
100%. And he lives about 30 minutes away, so he's up at 4:15 every morning getting ready for workouts.
Can you give us a tiny Coach Limbaugh impression? Because I've heard a lot over the years, and I want to kind of see how yours stacks up.
Oh, it's going to be bad. We had a talk this morning, and he goes, boys, it's all the little things. It's saying thank you to the cart guys, filling your divots. It's when you go get food, you say, yes, ma'am. You sign the bill. You walk out there. You say thank you to the guys cleaning your clubs. When you drop off the carts, you clean up your trash. It's all what we do. The little things are like the most important. I mean, it's just
you have to kind of deliver it more like this. Cole, it's just the little things that we got to do to try to accomplish the big things. So that's kind of a little bit of a snippet. But
yeah.
How was that? Was that good? Or?
Driver off the deck? You kidding me? It's the 4th hole of tournament and driver off the deck? Like, I mean, what are you doing?
Right. Well, so I went on Vanderbilt's roster and I click on your profile, and in the top, the very top of the profile, there's a link to your open doors. And so I click on it, and for $1,200, I can get you to attend a practice or an event. Now, I just got to know, first off, where should we send the invoice for this podcast? And then secondly, I also clicked on Gordon Sargent's, and he only charges $1,000. So I think this most recent victory may have put you over the top in terms of demand.
I have no idea what that is or where these numbers come from, but the fact that someone put $1,200 for me and $1,000 for Gordon is quite the compliment.
Yeah, I know. Well, hopefully, sorry to burst your bubble, but this is a free free podcast. So
I hope.
But
no one's
anyways,
to show up to an event.
I mean, who knows? I mean, it could be a good side gig for you,
For
over
sure.
these next few months. But so how has college golf changed for you, maybe in the NIL sphere, other than not knowing that there's an open doors link on your profile?
It doesn't change much. I think for us, we're not huge entertainers like football, baseball, basketball are. There's that many people paying $1,000 to watch us courtside. Um, and I think more than anything, it opens the window for us to make long-term relationships with certain banks or industries or companies that we would possibly do long-term deals with. And I think it's great just kind of getting your foot in the door now, because when you're graduating, it's obviously a lot, as you know, from playing nationals, playing tournaments the next week, trying to figure out what clubs you play, what clothes you wear, what logos in your hat. And so I think it's a good thing in that aspect, even though I don't think there's a ton of money in IL golf as far as I know. I think it's good just kind of building those relationships for long term when there is more money at play.
Yeah, because it used to be you used to see guys maybe take a drop off in performance that last semester of their senior year because they're trying new clubs, they're fielding meetings from different agencies, things like that. Do you feel like this has allowed you to maybe get a head start on all that? And where are you in that whole process of having things lined up for when you do turn pro next summer?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit different in that I don't really see a need to switch in a lot of things. When I turn pro, golf's a priority. I'm not going to be going out trying a bunch of different clubs or different clothes for the money. Um, I'm going to play whatever clubs are best for me. I'm going to wear clothes that I'm comfortable in. If someone wants to put a logo on clothes, that's great. But I think it can be a lot more of a distraction than it is helpful. It definitely helps having a little bit of a financial background when you turn pro to be able to afford your travel. But as long as I have enough to pay for travel and tournament expenses, I really don't want to get too in the weeds with trying different things and changing things up that can ultimately do more harm than good.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of travel, I did reach out to your dad a couple hours ago and asked him for some question ideas and some topics. And one of the questions he said I should ask is your favorite places in the world to travel to. Are you much of a world traveler? I didn't know this.
I guess so. My parents really love traveling. They traveled a bunch when they were young, and they've taken my brother and I to some cool places. And there's been a few I felt very unsafe. The question of why are we on this side of the country instead of the big city? I think Bali, Indonesia was a cool spot. I got pickpocketed by a monkey, probably like 50 cents. So that's
How
up there,
how how old were you?
probably 7 or 8.
And you got pickpocketed by a monkey. What was he wearing? Like a circus outfit, like we've seen in the movies, or did he ride a little motorcycle?
It was a place called Monkey Forest, so monkeys
Okay.
everywhere, and I think they're trained by the master monkey to go pickpocket and bring back to the monkey kingdom where they live.
Wow, this is something I definitely didn't know, but I'm very intrigued by this. It sounds like an interesting spot. Any other places? Because I just got back from Rome, and I thought it was pretty neat to see structures and just aspects that are centuries and centuries old, like just stuff that you can't even fathom. Um, you know, Living in the States and knowing that stuff like the Colosseum is infinitely exponentially older than everything else. Any good European spots that you've been, or?
I thought Turkey was really cool with the history, but this summer we spent a week in Italy, and that was amazing, being in Venice and just seeing the way of life. You walk everywhere, you take boats, the food's great, and it's a little bit touristy at spots, but it's so unique compared to anywhere in the U.S., and that was just special.
This is going to prepare you so well for turning pro when you're traveling to, you know, Jackson, Mississippi, and Noblesville, Indiana, and different things like that. But I've also heard that you're somewhat of a master chef. Do you have some dishes that you're really good at making, and or anything that you enjoy making?
I would say I'm a Trader Joe's connoisseur. I'm really good at getting the frozen bags of food and heating them up.
Oh, come on. That's not being a master chef.
I like to cook. You know, when you're in school and you're at Vandy, the time is a little bit scarce to just cook freely like that. I love Mexican food. I could eat it every meal. And so taco night at the Sherwoods is quite an endeavor. Fresh tortillas. We cook the meat. We make a bunch of different salsas. It's a full deal. It's about 5 hours that goes into it, but it's a pretty special night.
That's why you won Cabo then, because you felt right at home with the taco bar that BA sets up for you guys every year.
I think I kept track of my yardage book. I ate 28 tacos during the tournament during 3 rounds.
Are we talking street tacos or bigger?
Street tacos, yeah. The big ones, that'd be a lot, but it was mostly 3 before I teed off and 3 every time I passed the taco truck.
Jeez, I think Limbaugh needs to get the taco truck at it to every event.
He does.
And so a couple more for you. I was told to ask you worst summer camp that you ever went to. That was the first question. His first summer or worst summer camp.
Goodness. I don't know. Did I do something bad? I'm sure.
I don't know. Something about like a Spanish, French language summer camp.
Yeah. No, I wasn't well liked there. I was a pretty problematic child, and I'm sure my mom putting me in a foreign language summer camp wasn't the best idea. When I was about 6, just like the middle school I went to, got kicked out and not invited back.
So this kind of segues, I guess, into why your dad asked me to ask you what your kindergarten teacher would say about you.
She'd probably be shocked I'm still alive.
Why's that?
That was a problem. My mom's bookshelf was full of how to raise my special kid, and they didn't know what to do with me. I was always biting kids and throwing stuff, and I just want to play catch. And I guess there were no footballs around, so I used chairs sometimes and desks, just trying to toss it around.
So have you ever seen the movie Problem Child? It's a really old movie. It's this little red-haired kid, and they made a couple sequels that weren't as good as the original. But that's kind of what I'm being reminded of. It's like an early '90s movie. But so when did you go from being problem child to now? Because at least from the outside, and I'm sure if I talk to Limbaugh, he might say something different. But you seem like the consummate teammate and player and student athlete.
Appreciate it. I went to a private middle school for 1 year because I just was not doing great at school, I guess. And I was removed from the school after a year. I just wasn't invited back for 7th grade. But I learned a lot about organization, and it's very much you follow every little detail. You dot your I's, cross your T's as well as you can. And I think I learned a lot there from just a time management perspective on getting all your assignments finished, doing everything at a high level. And so when I came back to join my friends at public school in 7th grade, I was slightly ahead in school. And so it kind of helped me learn a lot of good things in middle school. And then high school, I had a great group of guys. I had an amazing high school coach. And so I probably matured a little bit playing for Coach Warnke.
Well, Cole, appreciate the time as always. We'll see you next in St. Andrews. Is that correct? In a couple weeks?
Yeah, we're pumped to go.
Yeah, St. Andrews Collegiate, inaugural St. Andrews Collegiate in a couple weeks' time on Golf Channel. This coming week, Jackson T. Stevens Cup as well. So a lot of great golf on our airways and a lot of great golfers that we have the privilege of covering. So Cole, good luck at the home of golf. They don't have Mexican food at the Dunvegan, and I didn't really find any decent Mexican food out there. So you're going to have to maybe do without. But again, appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the fall, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks for having me on, Brentley.